Welcome to This Week in Guns, a podcast that covers the latest commentary on the firearms industry news, information, and buzz. Brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network. I'm your host, Jake Challen, president of FRN. You make this show possible. That's right, you simply click through our Amazon affiliate link the next time you're shopping online, and a small portion of your sale goes to supporting pro-gun shows like This Week in Guns. I have a great panel this week. We have John Patton of the Gun Collective and Patent Media Consulting. Hey, John.
Hi, Jake. How are you?
I'm doing great. We have Abs, House of Guns, House of Arms. Hey, Abs.
What's up, Jake?
Nathan Murr, Kinetic Development Group and writer for Recoil Magazine. Hey, Nate.
Hey, Jake. It's good to be back on.
And Natalie Foster, Girl's Guide to Guns and Love at First Shot. Hey, Natalie.
Hey, Jake. Hi, gentlemen. Good to see you guys again.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual co-hosts and not those that necessarily reflect their official policy or position of the Firearms Radio Network and or their employers. Viewer discretion is advised. Patriot Patch Company makes this episode possible. As you can see on my hat here, if you're watching live, we have the new Red Dawn Wolverines patch in stock. We also have the Possibilities AR-15 lower receiver patch pre-order up, and the Got Wood patch. I need to have Abs voice this one in his Russian. If you're a fan of the Mosin Nagant, you have to check out the Got Wood patch at patriotpatch.co.
Sounds like something else.
Yeah.
Does it mean something else?
No, it's, the old wooden battle rifles.
Wait till we get to the full other news segment for the
let's wait.
Super classy.
Things.
I'm so glad we're keeping it all elevated tonight. Family friendly.
It's been 1 minute and 30 seconds, Natalie. Don't get ahead of yourself.
Hey, I have no control. This is a sponsor. You need to respect the sponsor.
Patriot Patch? Isn't that your company,
What?
Jake?
Who owns that?
You're breaking up. Okay, top stories this week.
Fourth wall, no!
Virginia reverses their reciprocity decision. If you remember a few weeks ago, we talked about how the, governor of Virginia blocked concealed carry reciprocity with, it was like 25 states or something. It severed the reciprocity where, they would no longer accept out-of-state permits for those states. Well, there was a big backlash over it. The NRA got involved, and surprisingly, they've been reversed. That decision has been rescinded.
Which is wonderful, which is great. Actually, this is something I've been following personally for a while because I live in Pennsylvania, and I go down to Virginia at least a couple times a month. So I'm down there all the time, and everybody that has a CCW, concealed carry permit in their state, you want to know what states you have reciprocity with. So for a long time, when I was younger, I didn't have reciprocity with Virginia, and then we gained it, and I was excited because that's the state I go to very often on business and see friends and everything. And when they announced, I believe it was in December, I think they started talking about it.
Yeah, that's right.
That they're going to be losing reciprocity with a ton of states. It wasn't just one or two. It was like 20-some states. That was no small deal to me. So it was really cool to see people via social media spread that message. There's a lot of discontent about it. There's a lot of people getting actively involved. I know I signed a couple petitions myself, even though I'm not a resident of Virginia. It wasn't just being an out-of-state person not being able to carry in Virginia. It was the state of Virginia losing reciprocity with those states. So Virginia citizens were going to lose the ability to legally carry a handgun in a lot of states that they traveled to on business and vacation.
Right.
So
right.
I think it's good. It's sad that it took this long, and there had to be so much controversy about it and so much uproar. But I'm glad to see that it's not going to go into effect now.
How often does that happen either? Stuff does not get reversed.
No, not like that, especially in such a hardcore. I mean, this is what Terry McAuliffe campaigned on. And yeah, I mean, at least gun control, maybe not specifically this policy, but that, I mean, it's a big deal. And people are, especially the Moms Demand types, are really pissed.
Which
Beautiful thing.
makes me so happy. Oh, they're mad and they're minivans.
I think what you said is spot on. Like this is a rare occasion. Like, when was the last time something like this happened at all? I mean, besides the last time there's something similar stands out in my head was the recall in Colorado. Before that, like in between then and now, I don't recall anything.
But that was just an ousting of the lawmakers.
Right. But
who screwed us over. That stuff still hasn't been reversed.
Sure, but
I mean,
at the same time,
I'm stocking up on Freedom Mags at SHOT Show to bring them back in.
Oh my God, that's a story in and of itself. I'm grabbing mags for him.
Get a few more. Hey, they didn't see your face. Go get more.
But it is a victory, and the fact that the panel here tonight, we're having trouble remembering last time something like this has happened. I mean, that shows a lot to its rarity. I mean, we've had other states that didn't have carry permits now issue them. I mean, Jake, I think for yourself, right? Wasn't it just a year or so ago you hadn't been able to get a permit, and now you're able to, right? So there's been a lot of victories. There's been a lot of defeats at the same time. But
that was forced by court, a court ruling, and many other times when stuff like this happens, it's forced by the court usually, or by a law being passed. Very rarely do we see a governor rescinding his orders.
What I would like to see is, like, it's good that people are getting involved. It's good that the people of Virginia and out-of-state carriers that go to Virginia get involved in this, like I said. What I would like to see is the same kind of enthusiasm for a nationwide CCW. Law enforcement officers, both active and retired, they have I believe it's called the Law Enforcement Officer Safety Bill. It was signed into effect back when Bush was president, but what it does is it allows cops to carry in all 50 states, right? Mm-hmm. So you can be on vacation, or you could be going to a training course out of state or whatever it might be, and you can carry your gun. It's basically a CCW for law enforcement for all 50 states. I would love to see something like that. Like somebody bring that into the light and nationwide support for it. At the end of the day, the Second Amendment is a constitutional right, and it's such an important right that our founding fathers wanted to give us that they made it second only to freedom of religion. It's the second one there for a reason. So I look at it like this: like if I carry out of state and I have to make sure that I'm in the legal confines of that state's rules, so I don't go to jail if I get pulled over, so I don't become a bad guy while trying to do nothing more than protect myself against the actual bad guys. To me, that's a natural right. I have the natural right to self-protection, and since I'm a good citizen, I've never been arrested, I've never gotten into trouble, I've served my country, I have all these accolades to say that I'm a good guy. If the government could trust me with a machine gun when I was 18 years old, I'm pretty sure that they can trust me to carry Glock 19 when I'm 33. So I would like to see the same kind of enthusiasm for something like that, like a nationwide carry bill.
Well, specifically for military, or former military, or for citizens?
For any free citizen. Like I said, like the Second Amendment is a constitutional right. In that Second Amendment, it doesn't say anything about duck hunting. It doesn't say anything about sport shooting. It says
it is. It's about being able to overthrow the government if we need to.
I mean, that's what it's about. But what I'm saying is, like, if you are a responsible citizen, and they can have like a qual course. I think a qualification course with your handgun should be part of it. If they ever do bring forward a nationwide CCW, like there should be a certain amount of training for it. But here's the thing: it could be $5,000 for 5 years, and I have to shoot a qualification every year to keep it. As a free citizen, I would go do it. I would spend the money, hit the range, go to the course, whatever it would take, so that I'm not labeled a felon by driving into New Jersey by accident, like that poor woman did a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Where she went over a bridge by accident out of Pennsylvania with a CCW, and got pulled over. As soon as she got on the other side of Jersey, they found her pistol. They were ready to throw the book of that poor woman, a single mom.
Yeah.
And that's the exact kind of person I want carrying a weapon. A single mother, living in Philadelphia, that's a scary world. That woman has the right to self-defense. So that's the kind of thing. So with Virginia, basically Virginia said, yeah, we don't really feel that you have the right to self-defense in these other states, so we're going to take away reciprocity. That's what you're doing. You're taking away freedom. You're taking away somebody's ability to protect themselves, which to me that's a heinous crime in its own right.
You know what, though? We did just see another huge victory in Maryland. I think this is a perfect kind of transition into this next story. Apparently, the assault weapon and high-capacity mag bans in Maryland have been struck down by the Fourth Circuit courts and kind of moved back to a lower level of court. So the crap that Governor O'Malley was trying to kind of push through right after Newtown is now nonsense, essentially.
So if I'm reading this and understanding this correctly, John, from whenever earlier, I'm looking at it again right now, the bill that they put effect in after Newtown, which basically limits magazines and rifle sales and things like that in Maryland, that's being repealed, right? That's the law they're actually talking about?
I think it's still got to go through, in this article on The Truth About Guns, it says that it needs to go back to a lower level court for further scrutiny or something like that. I'm not sure where it was, but the 2-to-1 decision sends the gun control law back to a lower court for review because it implicates the core protection of the Second Amendment. I don't know that that's a full-on repeal, but it's a step in the right direction. I mean, this particular law, I saw personal friends had their businesses harmed. You know, they lost business because of this nonsense. You know, everything was good, and then this law comes through, and they're like, oh, I don't think I'll be able to sell, you know, half of my current inventory because of this.
Yeah, we'll have to see how this plays out. This is something that, if it makes its way back up to the Supreme Court, some people are speculating that could happen. And if that happened, then, you know, possibly, gun control laws across the nation would be void and null.
Right, and they're comparing this to D.C. versus Heller and McDonald versus Chicago. I mean, those were huge cases in favor of gun rights, and this is right up there with it. And I did not know this was happening, it's exciting to see.
Well, I don't know if you guys saw. I don't think it's in the show notes tonight. My friend said something to me earlier today about it, that the numbers came in for NIC checks for the month of January. So for the first month of this new year, I want to say it was like 2.5 million NICS checks.
Oh my God!
How's that?
Yeah, no, it's on there. It's the gun sales were up.
So it was a top January of all time. I can't remember the data from earlier, because I know that November and December were record-setting months for NICS checks as well. But what I'm trying to say is, like, regardless of the exact number it is, it was definitely the top gun sales month, or January of all time in America.
You're right, Murray. It's 2,545,802 checks from January 1st through the 31st.
So if you look at it from November, December, January, for the last 3 months we've been setting these records in this country for gun sales. You know, like the expression "vote with your wallet." It seems like a lot of people, we're getting a lot new shooters, and we're having, other shooters buy additional firearms. What I'm saying is, like, I think those
all
numbers...
legally, by the way. These are the
Yeah.
These are the guys that are making an effort to go and do it the right way,
But
and they're not. Well, go ahead.
That's a great point, Allie. But I guess what I'm saying is, like, those numbers are going to transfer into more supporters for the Second Amendment at the end. Maybe not everybody that bought a gun in the last 3 months, but some of those guys are going to become involved with the NRA. They're going to become involved with like other shooting organizations to support the Second Amendment, and we're gonna be gaining advocates, is what I'm saying. And those advocates, those are their numbers, and their numbers to sign petitions and be vocal and be active in preserving the Second Amendment and abolishing these ridiculous counterproductive laws like the one in Maryland and the one that Virginia just tried to pass.
So the January is actually a drop-off from December 2015, just a month before.
Of
there
course,
were
because of
Christmas, right? But for grins of saying, look how many guns people are buying. December was over 3.3 million.
I feel like we talked about that in December.
Yeah. And then the Black Friday one was 185K in a 24-hour period.
I mean, that's insane.
They're good numbers. I like
Fantastic.
it. I like it. It's
Yeah.
good numbers. It's more people.
Everybody
Well-
wants more gun control. Also, everybody's buying more guns. Everybody.
Buy
Right.
more guns, but not on Facebook anymore. Facebook bans private gun sales.
Boom with the transition.
That was very
Well
good.
done.
You're welcome, by the way.
That was really good. That was
So
Pretty
we have a lot to cover here. This happened late last week or beginning of this week. Facebook banned gun sales. Gun control advocates claim victory, and Facebook gun sales ban. Why did Facebook gun policy change? Did the White House pressure Facebook to ban gun ads? And as Facebook implements new controls, gun enthusiasts embrace other platforms. Let's stop there, and then we'll cover the rest of these after we cover the first part of this Facebook
I guess I'm a little bit
drama.
more. I'm a little more indifferent to it, because we had implemented universal background checks a few years ago. So, if
My
you want
state as well.
if you wanted to sell just to somebody, then you have to go through a gun shop anyway to do the background check and face-to-face transfer and all that. And so I'm just a little bit more like, meh, and it's like, I mean, it's Facebook. I'm
Right.
not like, we're not. Who's surprised? I'm more concerned with the story, down the bullet list about deleting pro-gun pages.
That ties in with that, though. I think it goes hand in hand. Absolutely.
Yeah, it does. I'm talking about value, though. I mean, one, you're talking about complete freedom of speech, which is still a private entity, right? Facebook is.
Well, no, I mean technically it's public, but
But it's
Like,
privately owned.
But it's owned. I mean, it's still owned and
it's publicly
traded.
traded. But what we're talking about is free commerce. The government doesn't own it, and they shouldn't.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, but to that point, did the White House step in and meddle? And were they crossing the line?
I don't think we're ever going to know the truth to that.
When
Oh,
don't
and who
they?
cares, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I mean, and how do you define that? I mean, Obama sends, what's his name? Why can I not think of his name right now? Thank you, Zuckerberg. An email and says, "Hey, kill gun sales." I mean, I don't know. Who cares, really? I'm with you.
I think it'd be really
Ebbs,
cool
I'm
if,
like,
if they shut
What?
if they shut down Facebook for like a week, what would happen? I wonder the social impact of
The
that.
world would explode. I mean, it's
How
tied
could they?
into
People
It is
freak out
the
and they're
internet.
so upset. It's like the share. Facebook is going to start charging. Blah 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 blah. What have you all been on a shape for? It's been free all this time anyway. Like you're just spending time on there. You're giving them you, and it's like not.
Well,
it's become a
I look at it like
cesspool.
this. At the end of the day, I mean, it is privately owned, right? So what Mark Zuckerberg wants to do with it is it's his business, it's his baby, right? But the thing is, like, the magic of Facebook, why we all got on Facebook was that we could reconnect with old high school friends, guys that you knew in the military, relatives on the other side of the country. It presented a lot of value for free from day one, and I think that was part of the plan. I honestly think Mark Zuckerberg thought of that from day one, where if you get people hooked on it, a lot of small mom and pop shops, businesses, they can't afford a web page, so here's a way for them to advertise for free with their company page. Like, everybody got hooked on it like heroin, like internet heroin, and then they changed the algorithm, started putting in ads, you started paying for sponsorships, they monetized it. And I honestly think that was a plan for day one. I guess what I'm saying
Of course it was.
is that it's no
Minimum
secret that right. But the thing is, like, it's no secret that there's corporate entities have political agendas, right? That they have their own collective views as an organization. For example, firearms, right? The firearms community pays lobbyists to go to bat for us in different ways, right? Just like other industries do. The automotive industry have lobbyists just the same. Name a large-scale manufacturing community or industry, and they're going to have lobbyists. What I'm saying is this: is that I can understand Facebook having an agenda of their own, just like Coca-Cola has an agenda. And I can understand them having certain political views, just like Johnson & Johnson has certain political views. So at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, First Amendment, it's their right. It's their house. We're just guests in it. They can do what they want with it.
Right.
However, it's
Right.
curious that firearms, and like what Eb said, we're going to come up to this article here in a second, between deleting gun pages and then limiting, basically for sale pages where you still have to do a face-to-face to transfer the gun, or at least, sell the gun. Why now? Why all of a sudden? With all the gun stuff that's flying around with the upcoming election, why would Mark Zuckerberg or why would Facebook, why would they choose now to clamp down on the gun stuff?
Yeah,
let me just make a point here.
Hang on, let's jump into that segment. Let me read these headlines, and then, John, you can go. Is Facebook targeting FFLs on their personal accounts? Facebook removes Kentucky Gun Company's page without notice. Facebook deletes hundreds of pro-gun pages without notice. As Facebook implements new controls, gun enthusiasts embrace other platforms. That's in here twice. John, go.
So this article that says why the Facebook gun change isn't really a change is 100% correct. Facebook has never, ever been in support of firearms, the Second Amendment, whatever. This is not new, right? So what a lot of people are unaware of is that Facebook for a long time has been very harsh on, openly selling firearms. They at one point made a statement sometime last year about the fact that they just wanted people to do it legally, and they wanted to crack down on illegal gun sales and things like that. And sure, I would be willing to bet that there was a small percentage of illegal firearms sales that were happening through Facebook, but for the most part, I think people were doing it legally. The more interesting thing is the way they're acting about it. The public, shutting down these pages and stuff. This is an interesting change. Facebook before would just go, don't do that. Maybe shut down one group. We've seen it. I mean, remember a few years back when I forget, it was like 556 Tactical or one of their pages. I think it was Assault Life got shut down, or somebody. There was big pages.
There's an NFA page.
Well, I'm talking like years back, like 2-3 years ago. There was huge pages just got shut down for trying to make ads about guns and stuff like that, and people forget that stuff happened. Facebook has been doing this for a long time, and yeah, this might be the kind of driving of the final nails into the coffin of gun communities on Facebook, and in regards to people trying to go elsewhere, because I know that's something we're gonna chat here. I think it's pretty funny how, one, people think Facebook owes them something, and two, the scattering of people trying to figure out which site is everybody going to. Let's go to this one. Let's go to that one. No, this one's better. No, that one's better. The core of Facebook and why so many people use it is because everybody's there.
Yep.
If we scatter to the wind, we have lost. And until something significant happens, like some crazy, perfect, pro-freedom social media site comes up, we're going to be lost to the wind. And that's a big deal on a big social level for firearms owners, because Facebook is where a lot of people have a voice. And suddenly, like, it would directly affect me if they pulled that page out from under me. There's over 100,000 people that are fans of my page. If they pulled that away, suddenly my voice shrinks, and that's really, really interesting that they're doing that. And they know exactly what they're doing.
To an extent, they know what they're doing, but to another extent, it's kind of like, I'm an Amazon seller, and so it's kind of like Amazon's stance on gun stuff, where there's really weird stuff that they ban on Amazon that it's not illegal in any of the 50 states, but yet Amazon has banned the sale of it.
Can you give us an example?
Or like muzzle device, like sound suppressor, or not sound suppressors, flash suppressors.
Flash suppressors.
Anything that threads onto the barrel, pretty much, that would be perfectly legal in 50 states. I don't know, Ebbs, you might be able to give some more examples.
Well, we were trying to get onto Amazon to sell, and had the same issue with just like barrels, for instance, or stock sets, because they fit onto a gun as a part, and they looked gunnish. Then you were not able to sell them, even though perfectly legal within the law in all 50 states to ship to someone's door. These things, they're not even serial items, and it was
Right.
and it was arbitrary up to them to determine what things would and wouldn't be allowed. And we went back and forth with customers or seller support people for 2 months, trying to get our listings up, and they kept being deleted, even though they were not firearms. It says, Amazon does not allow the sales of firearms, and then a list of things that classify as firearms or similar to them, and then it's basically up to individual customer service reps or
Right. It's up to people that are completely ignorant as to what these things are, and I think
that's the thing.
the same thing is going on Facebook here. A lot of these pages getting shut down, I think, are being shut down by ignorant employees that just don't have a clue about firearms.
Or they have their own personal agendas.
That could be too, but
Well,
I
what I'm
think
saying
it's
is,
more an ignorant thing.
You can find pro-ISIS Facebook pages relatively easy, and some of them have significant followers too. Like, what I'm saying is, it's like, instead of pursuing true evil and removing that from Facebook, they're going after something that's constitutionally protected to the American people. Like for the Amazon thing, I'd like to say this: it's like, if you spend 15 minutes on Amazon, you can find poison capable of killing human beings. You can get chloroform and radioactive material directly from China. So I'm like, you're trying to protect us, but I can't buy an A2 flash hider. That's asinine.
It would be
It's ridiculous.
What if we had? I would be really interested to see what Facebook is doing worldwide in this regard, in the effort of guns, because guns are not localized to the U.S. We all know that, and
remember we had that Facebook group out of Libya or somewhere that was a buy-sell group.
Right.
Oh yeah, watchers and
it
stuff.
was like Iraqi black market. Yeah.
Well,
what I'm saying is, but there's plenty of other pages that are negative. I see what John's saying with this. Like, there's Facebook in Europe. I have European friends that are on Facebook. I'm not sure if it's the same server, directly, but what are they allowed to see?
All over the world.
What I'm saying is, the Facebook that if you are in France and you create a Facebook account on an IP in France, do you see the exact same Facebook that I see in Pennsylvania? What I'm saying is, like, the feed, the algorithm, everything, are they able to see gun stuff to the extent that we are?
The algorithm is unique to every person out there. The algorithm learns what you do. It feeds off of what you do on the internet and continues to show you things that you like.
Yes.
Right, but then is it filtered through the laws of the country, or is that what you're asking, Nate?
No, what I'm saying is, first off, I still argue with John about the algorithm for my own personal studies, because it shows you things you like, but it also purposely shows you things that you like that you can go to, and it still won't prompt you to see it because it's on their blacklist, or it's something that's against the. Well, it's going against the grain of what Facebook is about. Right. Okay. I'll give you that concession. Right. What I'm saying is this: It's social media has become insanely important to human beings' ability to communicate. And that was proven. That was shown during Arab Spring. It was shown in Egypt. It was shown in Libya. It was shown in multiple countries that shut down their internet servers so they couldn't communicate. The protesters, the people that were showing up for civil upheaval to overthrow their governments and whatnot, they shut it down so they couldn't organize. It was a tool that was used for good, and is a tool that's used for bad, right? What I'm saying is that because of the size of social media, because of Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and everything else, there's repercussions. There's repercussions to the people having a voice and the ability to speak about things that matter to them. Firearms is obviously something that's a hot button topic every single election. Every single election, gun control comes up. And in the last couple of years, based off the murders and the acts of terror and everything else, it's going to be a huge issue in this upcoming election. So what I'm saying is, like, you don't stack the cards in your favor the month before the election. You start doing it months ahead of time. I'm not saying that I'm not a conspiracy theorist guy. I don't believe in 99.9% of conspiracy theories, but I do believe that large corporations and government entities have control over certain things, including social media. They influence it.
I don't know. I'm not breaking out my tinfoil hats yet, but patriotpatch.co might be carrying them soon. I don't know. I think a lot of this comes to, like for example, there's different categories of items that I have sold before on Amazon. I've sold everything from baby bottles to strollers to well, now I sell morale patches. There's just a whole plethora of digital cameras, all kinds of items. And me as a business, some of those categories or subcategories of items have become such a huge pain in the butt, whether it was customer service or whatever, warranty, that I just said, forget it. I'm not carrying anything like this ever again. And I think to an extent we see big companies like Amazon and Facebook, they get this category of, whatever the category it is, it becomes a pain in the butt to them. Maybe because they don't know enough about it, and they just don't want to deal with it. They're like, I don't want to learn about this. I don't care that it's legal in all 50 states. I think some person in leadership is like, we don't make enough on this, or we're just not going to deal with this. It seems like the lawyers are telling me it's too big of a pain in the neck to police this item. We're just not going to deal with this.
Look in recent history with the Starbucks thing. Remember all this stuff where people were open carrying Starbucks, and Starbucks said that we are not taking an official stance one way or the other, adhere to the laws of the state that Starbucks happens to be in, right? And that kind of flip-flopped back and forth there for a while, but it was all over news. It made national news. It was a big deal. And I think the final verdict is now, if you guys might be able to correct me if I'm wrong, but Starbucks does not officially support anything that has to do with the Second Amendment, right? What I'm saying is this, is that because big corporations and things like Facebook and Amazon and all these other things, they have influence, right? They're huge titans that affect our life on a daily basis, whether we like it or not, and whether we realize it or not. So I'm saying is that when you willingly say, I don't support guns in any way and I don't want to deal with it, you're saying that I don't support the Constitution, particularly the Second Amendment. So the thing is, if you can pick and choose what you support and what you don't when it comes to the legal rights of American citizens, that's a slippery slope. And now it's getting to the point where it's not just we hate the Second Amendment, now we're also going to filter or involve ourselves in your First Amendment rights to talk about the Second.
Yeah, but they're, like we were saying earlier, they're a company. They can do whatever they want.
Which is true.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, what do you...
Like me as a Firearms Radio Network, if a gun control podcast wants to be aired by the Firearms Radio Network, I'm going to say no.
That would be hilarious.
It would be hilarious. Maybe I wouldn't say no.
But you don't want the FCC... I mean, and the FCC has proposed measures like this, right? To force you to come in, like they would come in and force you to carry a counterpoint, right? And they actually do that in a lot of cases, like with in races, politicians, that kind of thing. So I mean, I don't want the government coming in and doing that. Yes, it definitely affects our everyday lives, but at the same time, I think that we can have just as much of an effect on them, especially if it's an organized effort, and especially if it's not like freaking idiots in North Texas who are going around carrying their AKs and ARs on their backs walking into a grocery store. It's not doing anybody, like if we do it smartly, we affect them instead of the other way around.
So one of the things that I find really interesting that you brought up there, Natalie, is the organization of this movement, right? And I was just sitting here thinking, like, man, who is our kind of spearhead? We've got these huge lobbyist groups, but do they really represent us? And I think the answer for most people is not quite. Yes, to an extent, but not quite. And
so you're speaking of NRA and NSSF?
NRA, NSSF, NAGR, like these big gun lobbyist groups.
Second Amendment Foundation, that kind of thing?
Yeah. Like I think they are wholeheartedly necessary. I don't think
well,
that any
and they're
of
the
them
reason
should...
that we had the wins that we talked about at the top of the show.
Totally agree. However, I think it would be really wise of those groups to kind of broaden their viewpoint to a point where they actually represent all gun owners as opposed to fervent supporters of the Second Amendment. I think
that's really
forward,
interesting. What does that look like? Because I think you're hitting on a topic that a lot of the new gun owners, with 2.5 million more background checks this month, there are a lot of people that don't look like your typical NRA member.
And they won't be.
Right, exactly.
They just won't be because that's an old white man's organization to them, to a lot of people.
And they are trying. They
certainly are.
I mean, I was a part of that movement, right? Like them making and still, and continue to be with the women's organization, side of it. But what does that look like to you? And I'd like to hear in the comments too what anybody would like to see. Those organizations, kind of those old, cornerstones of our rights. I mean, they've upheld them, in the case of the NRA since the 1870s. But, what does that look like now for us, for, people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, who aren't who don't look like Wayne LaPierre,
Sure. And Nate and I have had conversations offline about gun culture 2.0 and what that looks like. And I think the thing about gun culture 2.0 is it's here, and none of the lobbyist groups, these huge groups, are ready to represent it because they don't have the various groups, as their quote unquote top-ranking people. Their influencers within their organizations are not these types of people, so they're struggling to understand the logic that a lot of these people have. And I think that's really interesting, and that's part of what I as the gun collective grows, and as all of our individual companies grow, I think that it's almost a responsibility for us to try and portray and have fun with that transition into that culture.
I think there's slow change. I think it's slow. I think, for example, the NRA today in 2015 is a little bit better at protecting things circling like black rifles, just semi-max, than they were back in the 90s.
Well, like even in like 2-3 years, they're better.
Right, and now we have more people from different, more diverse backgrounds. People like Chris Chang, what's the writer from L.A., Colin Noir.
Please, he's in Dallas.
Whatever.
In L.A., please.
I forgot.
I thought he was part of the Kardashians.
Whatever.
I'm in L.A. He's in Dallas.
What I'm saying is that regardless of we like certain NRA spokesmen or guys and gals that are supporting the NRA, there's been more attempts in the last couple of years to show the broader spectrum of what American firearm ownership is, other than the old, Dick Cheney type guys with over and unders shooting quail. What I'm saying is like the same people. The people in their 20s, their 30s, and 40s that maybe don't have as much of a voice with a lot of these groups that most of us are involved with in one way or the other, they're also the ones predominantly buying black rifles. They're also the ones participating in shooting sports that are newer shooting sports, like IDPA or ICPA. You know what I'm saying? Like active shooting sports like the 3-gun matches and whatnot. So I think as that generation ages, like, we talked about this before, John. Like, I don't really feel that Wayne LaPierre accurately represents me as a firearm owner, and you're the same way. You don't feel that he accurately represents like your side of it either. Our side collectively because of our age group. So, I mean, I understand what you're saying, John, and I agree with a lot of it. But I also see progress in all forms, or it's almost always slow, painfully slow. And if we're gonna win,
I have a habit of kind of overlooking the progress and just concentrating on that future drive, because I'm like, good, that's it, let's go, and that's my constant mentality anyway. So I do have a habit of like kind of brushing right over the progress that we have made.
Well, and here's the thing we need to look at too is the other side, right? So the Bloombergs of the world, specifically Bloomberg with Everytown, right? And I mean, and he had all these little umbrellas, and then he put them all under Everytown. And Moms Demand Action, I mean, this is something I deal with frequently as a brand new mom and as a female, combating Moms Demand Action, and they're making videos for people, that are, I'm Melissa Joan Hart, who is a conservative, by the way, gets on, that she does a video for them, and she's probably paid very well for it because they are well funded. But she's also a mom, and she genuinely cares, but she doesn't know anything about it, so she doesn't understand their ultimate agenda, and that it is genuinely gun confiscation. When it's all said and done. Now they're not going to tell you that up front, but that's ultimately what they want, right? So anyway, all that to say that they're finding people like that who look very different from Michael Bloomberg to communicate their messages, right? So I don't know that the NRA necessarily. I mean, maybe it is just branching out, and like you said, they have done a pretty good job in the last couple of years, but I just don't know what it looks like if it's done any differently, and I want to see the ideas, and let's move the ball, man. I'm all for it. I just want to know what it looks like.
Well, it's kind of like, look, the NRA and these other groups, they're not the best. They're not doing the best job, but it's all we got until that organization shows up or changes. So at the end of the day, it's like it might not be what we want it to be, but it's still our only option right now. It's the only thing we have. So it's like, well, I don't like the NRA, so I'm not going to support them. Well, who else is going to go to bat then, in lieu of that?
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm going to I think Jake's wanting to move on, and so I'm going to say one thing, and then, Jake, you can segue this. But Wayne LaPierre is an attractive man, and his suits are on point always. And
$5 million class action lawsuit filed against Century Arms. So, yeah, Century Arms apparently has been manufacturing some defective AK-47 rifles.
You're kidding me!
Specifically with the safety selector that doesn't actually act like a safety.
If you read the article, it says that if you basically overextend the safety, so like how you remove a safety from AK-47 is you take the desk cover, the bolt, and all that out of the receiver, and then you can take the safety all the way up and then past the receiver and then straight up and then pull it out of the receiver. That's how you remove an AK safety, right? I guess there's a percentage of Century guns that if you overextend the safety even while the gun is fully operational and loaded, if you go past the safe setting and you force it past, well, now it's no longer safe and it's going to fire. Which to me is not a surprise. Like,
so,
this seems.
I watched what actually this all spawns from one particular video and like just a very small couple of instances of what happened. And I, when I saw this pop up, I wanted to educate myself because I'm not super knowledgeable on AK. So what you're saying is correct, and what's interesting is the safety has kind of a tab on the bottom of it, and the ones that they're using is apparently a safety out of a full auto gun, right? And
it's full auto configured. I mean,
sure.
It's a full auto style safety.
Sure. I mean, semantics with the terminology, and that is supposed to, like normally with a semi-automatic gun that has a notch cut out where I believe disconnector would normally engage, or when the gun is cycling in full auto, and that kind of would help it reset or whatever. I'm not really sure, but this safety from Century doesn't have that cutout, and somebody apparently put like a round through their ceiling and other kind of negligent stuff. Like, what are you doing messing with pushing your safety to that point? You literally, it's not a normal operation of the gun. It's not like the gun itself is defective. You're pushing it past where it's supposed to go with a loaded gun, and you screwed up.
Well, and then also with AKs, it's common to flex out your selector to get it to where it's not dragging on the receiver as much to try to get things to smooth out.
Even though it was designed to drag on a receiver.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's a cheap, poor American fix for weak hands. Okay, and so what can happen when you do that is if you bend it too far and then you try to push that selector up where the dust cover would normally stop it. If it's flexed out, it can go past that lip.
Oh, that's a good point. Actually, I didn't think of
that. That can happen on any AK. That's not just.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, to me, like this is a non-issue. Like, look, I've seen Century guns and shot and owned Century guns of various conditions over the years, and I feel like the guns they're producing today, they fixed a lot of those problems. Like, it was a crapshoot if you bought a Wasser 10, was it Wasser 9? Was the old
Wasser
Century?
Wasser
10, yeah.
1063.
Yeah, those are.
If you bought a
garbage.
Wasser 10 like 10 years ago, they're like, yeah, but I also saw, for as many jacked up ones, I saw really nice ones. Like, I have a Raz 47 that's 100% American made. I'm going to tell you right now, it's the nicest AK I've ever owned. And I own Arsenals. Like, I've had
The Ras
Arsenal AKs.
is a nice
So
gun.
I'm saying it's a nice gun. So the thing is, like, I'm looking at this, like, what Ebbs just explained about people technically modifying their safety so it's easier for them to engage and disengage the safety. They're opening it up to mechanical failure because they're altering the gun technically. Like, there's so many things that go wrong here that you basically have to force on the gun to make it fail. And we know that if you can take any gun and force it to failure, force it to be unsafe if you start monkeying around with the parts. So I don't look at like, I'm not worried for Century. I can't believe I'm saying this, I'm actually going to take Century's side on this. I don't think it's their fault.
I also don't think it's worth $5 million.
Well, we live in a country where everybody owns this too over anything, so how many small money people.
How many lawsuits are based on what the trauma is worth?
Yeah.
Right, damages, yeah. Or,
Feelings are priceless. Feelings are priceless.
Jake, you're muted, bro.
I think Jake's talking.
Oh, I'm talking here. I was just saying, I don't think you're really operating until you have an AK pop.
Oh my God.
That's true. You know, we have a serious issue in this country with the popularization of AKs. That we have AR-15 home builders and users moving over to AKs, and they either aren't taking the time to familiarize themselves with the system, or they're just kind of flippant about it, and it's a completely different animal that requires different handling and different love. It's like loving a girl from
you better tread lightly, my friend.
I cannot wait. Yes. No, let him finish. Let him finish.
I'm not gonna finish that. Sorry, Natalie. I forgot you were here.
Oh, you forgot.
Ebbs, I mean, Ebbs makes a really good point with that. Look, there's over 100 million AK-47s manufactured since the year 1947, with over 150 variants manufactured in over 56 different countries, right? And when you get a parts kit gun and you're using a Romanian safety with a Russian trigger and a Bulgarian barrel, it's not an AR-15. AR-15 is held to a higher standard machining-wise, right? As a company, I work for a company where we make all kinds of firearms things, including guns.
We have mil specs.
Yeah, we have specifications, but the thing is, like, you can build an AR-15 in your garage that's as accurate as a $5,000 AR-15, or you can build one in your garage that's a ticking time bomb of failure, waiting to blow up in your hands the first time you shoot it because you didn't know what you were doing, you used subpar parts, you didn't do what you were supposed to do. So, I mean, like, I understand, like, if you try to treat an AK-47 like an AR-15, you're going to have a bad time. And if you try to treat an AR-15 like it's an AK-47, you're also going to have a bad time. It's just,
What about the hybrid? What about the hybrid?
The mutant?
What hybrid?
The mutant, I'm sorry.
That's not a hybrid.
So I do need to
Whatever.
take a moment to put a teaser in here. We have the AK-47 podcast premiering soon on the Firearms Radio Network, so stay tuned for that.
Are they going to touch ARs? Because I'm a purist, and I just really don't know if I feel comfortable with that. No, I really want to know how Murr rattled off all those stats, and if they were accurate, and if you knew them off the top of your head, or if you were reading them, because that was kind of amazing, and I think we need to revisit that for a moment.
That's Nate Murr. He knows that off the top of his head.
Where's your ordnance bomb tattoo? Where's your ordnance bomb?
Oh, that's like he just laid the trump card.
He's the Rain Man of the firearms industry.
Definitely AK. Definitely.
So, moving on, Idaho, most dependent on gun industry out of all the states. Delaware, least dependent.
I would agree. Everything is in Boise. Everything is in. There's what, like 8 different suppressor companies in Boise alone?
So good.
I mean, who's there?
Go Idaho. Freedom.
Ownworks is there.
Primary Weapons is there. Tactical Solutions is there. Gemtech is there.
Zero Bravo's there. Yeah. Did you say Ownworks?
No, you said Odinworks.
Okay.
Nate, are you currently reading an AK-47 novel?
I'm sorry, what?
As he
It's a
sips.
novella.
Oh, I thought the show was over. I'll just put my book away, Natalie.
This is why I respect you so much, Murr.
So this is an analysis done by the National Shooting Sports Foundation to see what the economic contribution of the gun industry was on a national level, and then broken down on a state level as well.
It's kind of neat, actually.
So I'm not going to get real far into it, but it breaks it down into all the different states. Talks a little bit about the traditional northeastern area, and now the Idaho Valley, Gun Valley in Idaho, which is rapidly developing and growing. And then last week we talked about Arkansas receiving expansion in the firearms industry as well. So Field and Stream Writer laments SHOT Show militarization.
That was a good one.
Oh, this is great.
We haven't
I'm
had
pretty sure that
a
writer.
Jake word in a while.
Go ahead,
I'm
Nate.
pretty sure the guy that wrote this article likes to go play golf with Wayne LaPierre like once a week too. So, yeah, I'll have this. All right, so basically what you have is you have a guy from Field and Stream, right, which is an awesome magazine for what it is. I mean, if you want to learn how to tie your own lawyers and how to interpret what bear scat means and read a terrible review of an over and under shotgun, then by all means go read Field and Stream, right? There's some merit. I've learned a lot of stuff from Field and Stream over years reading it. I am a fan. I'm poking fun, but this old man gun writer, like, at least that's the way he sounds to me. I mean, I've never met the guy in person. He goes to the SHOT Show. He complains that there's too many black rifles, that the industry is all tactical now, that there's a surprising lack of booth bunnies. Like, he's upset that there's not booth babes. Like, this dude apparently loves himself some gun bunnies. And don't get me wrong, I mean, I am on Instagram. I love me some gun bunnies too, but I take them for face value for what they are. But this guy puts it in his article that he's disappointed that there's no booth babes. There's no quality booth babes. I didn't see a single booth babe. Like, he goes on that point for a second. But this is kind of tying what we just talked about and what John was saying about, does Field and Stream represent the modern hunter and fisher and outdoorsman? Maybe, maybe not. Because I'm going to tell you right now that a lot of the kids that are out in the woods hunting in their late teens or in their early 20s, young men and women, if they own a shotgun to go hunt turkey, there's a strong likelihood that they own an AR-15 now too. So, like, his not so much attack as much as his displeasure and disappointment that modern firearms are being developed, that we're not stuck in the last century. I'm sorry that I don't drive a Model T Ford and still hunt with a lever action. Like, that it's progress, and it's feeding the demand of the people. And when people say, I want black rifles, I want AR-15s, don't be surprised when there's 200 AR-15 manufacturers the next year.
Well, I also completely disagree.
Are there actually 215? I need to know that. I'm sorry, Ebbs. I have to know if there are actually 215.
There's more.
Okay, now Ebbs, go, please.
I disagree. Like, the guy's just having a pity party, because I disagree that any of the things that he's saying are hard to find are actually hard to find. I mean, you can skip from one booth to the next at range day and see any new spin on a bolt-action hunting rifle, shoot a terrible Savage auto-loading rimfire and 22 Magnum or 17
Kimber
HMR.
revolver for $1,000.
Listen. One of the biggest parts of the Smith & Wesson booth this year was the Thompson center side, and they just released a new Strike muzzleloader, which is a striker-fired inline muzzleloader designed to be hunted used during primitive hunting seasons more more effectively in weather and moisture. And I mean, these things are still being innovated. The hunting industry in that side is just as big as it's ever been. It just so happens that the other side is growing a little bit faster. And so there's like these two parallel lines where they're shooting off next to each other and tremendously popular. And there are kids, and I see my most popular. We'll give a quick example, and I won't talk forever so we can move on. But my most popular video in the past 2 years has been the first time my oldest daughter shot an AR-15 rifle. She was with me at the range. She's brass grabber, helper. She's extremely aware of her situation, her surroundings. She understands safety, where her finger goes when she's handling a firearm, all kinds of stuff like that, okay? I was testing a muzzle device and a trigger, and I didn't even force her. I didn't even ask her if she wanted to shoot. She said, "Dad, can I shoot the well, we called it Tilt, was the name of this AR because it had a canted front sight base when I got it." And anyway, so she said, "Can I shoot Tilt?" And I said, "Yeah, I guess if you want to." She was 7 years old. She's been shooting since she was 4 years old. And I said, "Well, I'm going to film it." And the video's one of my most viewed and by far the most popular in the last 2 years, and has people fuming and raging, and there's comments everywhere from all over the globe. And it's best to see Europeans and Central Americans commenting their approval or disapproval, like I care. But still, there are kids that are learning in that way, and then there are kids. My daughter's. I mean, we live in Colorado and I hunt, but she's too small to take on a hunt where it takes me 10 miles to get into the spot with a pack, and then 10 miles back out because her legs are too short and time is valuable. Whereas where I grew up in the woods hunting squirrels with my dad with a .22 rifle, and then learning to deer hunt with a bow, and I mean, they're still there. I mean, this is just a giant pity party that he's not getting. It's probably more of a cry against new media and the value of online social media content creators and YouTubers and things like that, because if you're not a gun magazine that is applying and appealing to that crowd, then you're a gun magazine that's dying and nobody cares about what you have to say, and he's pissed off about that. That's a really good point. It's a veiled insult.
This is the type of guy that gets frustrated when people release, these fancy new carry rounds, because what's wrong with carrying ball ammo? It's worked for 35 years, 40 years. It's the same kind of mentality. Why are things changing around me? I can't deal well with change. I'm an old curmudgeon dickhead, and I don't understand how the gun industry works.
It's the truth. It's the truth. I agree with John 100%. And like what Ebbs just said, like, first off, Ebbs, I guarantee you were proud as hell of your daughter that day.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Beaming with pride. You captured a beautiful moment in your family, right? And like for me, I grew up very much the same way. But I grew up hunting with my grandfather and my dad. I grew shooting dad's .22 until I was old enough to have my own .22, to be trusted with firearms and taught the safe way. And that was, I guess you could say, the traditional way. It was around, bolt action .22s and pump shotguns and hunting deer and hunting ducks, and like the hunting and sportsmanship side of shooting, right? But the thing is that I can't tell you the last time I bought a hunting firearm, because my deer rifle that I've been using since I was 15 kills a deer every year that I take it in the woods. It doesn't need to be replaced. It will never need to be replaced because it's a bolt action 308. And my pump shotgun that I've been killing turkey and duck and geese with since I was 12, it still kills geese just as well at my age today. So like where I spend my money, I don't need a new turkey shotgun. I don't need a new hunting rifle. If I went out west to visit you, Ebbs, we went out in the mountains to go hunt elk, I would have to buy a new bolt-action rifle to go hunt elk because I don't have an appropriate rifle for that sport. So I would cross that bridge when I got to it. I primarily spend my money on modern firearms, the latest and greatest, the advancements, pushing the envelope of design forward. That's why I got a job in the firearms industry, to develop better mousetraps.
Right. By the way, how good? I know Natalie's done this because I've seen her show where she has, and how good is turkey hunting?
Oh, I love it. I love
I
Oh,
mean,
it.
it's so great.
It
Well,
is.
It's like a pack of velociraptors coming in, quiet as ghosts,
It
and like
is.
like the only thing that gets my heart beating anymore, like somebody's trying to kill me in Iraq,
Oh
is
man,
when a flock of turkeys come in. I'm like,
they are.
look
You're
at them. I'm like, they could eat you if they
Yeah.
wanted to. They could eat you like a pack of velociraptors.
You're sitting on your butt and your eye level with these monsters, and it's like when they gobble close, it just shakes the trees. Oh,
All right.
so good.
Next story. Should using drones be for hunting be banned?
No.
We ban drones for hunting purposes.
Technology, advancement, things moving forward.
No.
No.
I think it depends on what type of hunting, though.
First off, they work really great for hunting human beings, so obviously they work great. They'll work equally great for hunting four-legged creatures as well.
Yeah, we should probably ban that first.
I had a friend.
I think Obama upped that. So.
Right.
But actually, maybe this is one of those things we should leave the President Obama, because he loves some flying murder death
drones.
robots. He
Right.
loves some flying murder death robots out there.
It doesn't count. It doesn't count if it wasn't a human there to pull the trigger or to drop the bomb.
Well, let's look at like drones before they were weaponized. Like the Raven, for example, is a small man-launchable drone that I used overseas. It's a great piece of technology, and I can definitively say that just observation drones that do nothing more than see the ground from a bird's-eye perspective, has saved American lives. Right?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
helped a lot of things. Right? You look at the sport. I mean, there's people buying drones that don't own firearms. I would say that it's probably a huge thing with photographers more than shooters, but like it's a cool toy at the same time. You know, it's something really neat, and it gives you the opportunity to see your terrain, so you don't go through the briars and you don't go up the hard route up the mountain. There's a lot of uses for it, and I could see people arguing and saying it's unsportsman to use a drone. I would argue that if I had access to a drone to see where the elk are or the deer are, I would use it. I don't want to just trudge around the woods and waste my time. If I could throw a drone up for 5 minutes to see where my prey is, I would use it. So what difference does it make in that way?
There's an argument for everything. You know, game cameras, are they unsportsmanlike? Baiting pigs, is that unsportsmanlike? Baiting deer, whatever it is that unsportsmanlike? I mean, I can almost guarantee that at some point in firearms history, there was a guy that said, you know what, magnified optics are unsportsmanlike.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
And that was probably as short as 20 years ago.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Powder,
That's what I'm saying.
smokeless
Like,
powders unsportsmanlike. Muzzle-loading rifles that can shoot 200 yards are unsportsmanlike.
I'm just saying, I was offered yesterday to go on a hunt with a drone that has a thermal camera, so that we can accurately depict where the pigs are, so that we can stack the pigs higher.
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
that's
So you said
what
yes?
I'm talking about.
Did you say
yeah.
yes?
Of course I said yes.
It sounds
I said,
awesome.
Oh, it's going to be amazing.
If that doesn't sound like a good time to you, then I don't know what's a good time.
I mean, that sounds like a great time.
Just
all right.
imagine all the bacon.
We need to move this along. We are to the I'm offended section.
Yes.
I'm not necessarily offended, but someone here is offended. Homeland Security loses 165 guns, 1,300 badges or credentials.
All right,
Did they all
I
go to
am
Mexico?
offended.
I'm offended by that.
I'm very offended by that. What?
So this is over a
what's it-
31-month period. This is just over 2 years. 165 firearms and 1,300 badges or credentials are lost or stolen.
I would like to go on record and say that I have lost 0 firearms because I am actually responsible.
Same. Listen to this. Here's this perception that we have publicly, and that the government tries to spew out on us, or people who think guns should be taken away, by saying police officers are the only ones that are responsible enough to handle firearms,
Right.
or carry firearms, or uniformed people are the only ones that are trained enough to do that. And this is gross negligence. This isn't just like got in a car wreck and then flipped over in a ditch and the trunk popped open and we forgot to go back and this is like leaving them in bathroom stalls and ridiculous stuff like this that is unacceptable as far as I'm concerned. But who cares more about something than the person who had to make an investment in order to own it and then take care of it? We're talking about private citizens that are purchasing their own defense firearms and learning to use them and then caring for them. I've never lost a gun, and I have owned and own kind of an embarrassing amount of them.
So,
same boat.
But also, like, we're talking. We're talking ICE and TSA, two the agencies that deal largely with people who would have a proclivity to terrorism. So we're not really talking about either. That's a huge deal. Like, and how long before another Brian Terry situation happens because of this negligence?
Well, that's a good thing that you brought up Brian Terry, because look, this is just yet another case of the federal government saying, "Do as I say, not as I do."
That's right.
I mean, it's another case of the federal government screwing up on their own and providing firearms potentially the bad guys, right?
It's another argument for smaller government, not larger government. The end of this article is great. It said in 2008, Department of Homeland Security lost over 1,000 computers. They lose everything.
They're selling them.
Everything.
They're selling them.
You know what? This reminds me too, though. Remember Kate Steinle in San Francisco, who was murdered by that immigrant.
That's right.
I mean, this is it was a park ranger's
One
gun.
of these guns, yeah.
Right.
Which is a federal officer.
That's
Park ranger's a federal officer, right? So I mean, like, look, everybody's human. Everybody makes mistakes. Like, I can see the potential for somebody to forget their duty weapon in a bathroom stall because they took it out of the holster and put it on the water tank or something. Like, everybody makes mistakes.
But with numbers like this, though, like, are they punishing them at all?
And that's the thing, is like, we as citizens expect to hold, especially federal employees, to a higher standard, right? We expect them to be trained and proficient and responsible, particularly with the firearms that the American taxpayer pays for and gives to them. So when they go missing or they get stolen or what happens to them, they lose custody of the firearm in one way or the other. That is a big deal, especially in the numbers presented here.
Yeah.
Warrant issued for first Tennessee woman in combat role after she goes AWOL.
Is anybody like Murr? I got to get your opinion. Are you shocked by this?
I saw this earlier. Like, look, people go AWOL all the time. Where's that guy Corey and Erica, that stupid YouTube channel, right?
We can't avoid it.
Like, that dude went AWOL, right? Whatever. But here's the thing: is I have served with women in combat. I have served alongside Lioness teams in the Marine Corps, where it's all-female team that goes out. They're outside the wire, just the same as a male infantry unit. Women in combat, it's not a new thing, right? Women have been fighting for millennia, right? Different cultures, like the Vikings, like different Greek
Israel
cultures.
does it.
The Israelis have a bunch of really hot female soldiers that do it every day. Hey, Israeli female soldiers, if you're listening,
I am on Instagram. Follow them.
I am on Instagram. So what I'm saying is that, like, women in combat, like, that's not anything new. I don't understand how it's newsworthy. It's one of those things where, like, everybody's making a big deal about women going to Ranger School, women trying to go to infantry MOSs and Special Forces MOSs. Which, I have my own opinions about that. There's some perks and there's some drawbacks to both sides of that argument. But to me, it's like, whatever. Some chick that, decided that she didn't want to be in the Army anymore went AWOL. That happens every day with both men and women. It's, to me, it's more her breaking her obligation to her nation. She swore an oath and she signed a contract and she had to make good on that. And if she didn't want to be in the Army, then she finishes her contract and she gets out with an honorable discharge. You don't go AWOL. That doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. You made an obligation. You see it through. That's the thing I take issue, because more and more people don't understand that they're going to be held personally responsible for their actions. That's something our culture is forgetting at an astronomical rate. So that's pretty much all I got to say about that.
I think that's all.
That was a
needs to be
great
said.
response.
Good, really well said.
Yeah, I don't think
Really, really
Literally
thoughtful.
have nothing to add to
All
that.
right, you can now contribute to the Firearms Radio Network and This Week in Guns by shopping our Amazon affiliate link. Simply click the Amazon banners on thisweekinguns.com or bookmark firearmsradio.tv/Amazon, and a small portion of your sale goes to supporting pro-gun shows like This Week in Guns. We were to the full auto news segment, the stories the real media won't talk about, and other crazy stuff. This is where each of the hosts picks a story or two to call their own. Who's ready?
I got one.
Go.
This is a guns.com story about Tickle, the guy from what is the name of the show, Moonshiners or something like that on Discovery
that
Channel.
guy?
Yeah, so the guy, and then he got his own show because he was so kind of charismatic and stuff.
Hey, real quick, before you get into it, I would like to point out that there is an adult male in this country named Tickle. Continue.
Hey, he has a
And
short
that's
barrel
actually
shotgun, so don't
Real
say too
last
mean.
name. I mean,
Tickle is actually his real last name, which is great.
Oh, wow.
But he was found guilty of possession of a sawed-off shotgun last week, which would be classified as an illegal SBS.
14-inch barrel.
As reported by the Richmond Times-Dispatch, Tickle, who plays lovable if sometimes misunderstood purveyor of homemade corn liquor on the show since 2011, lives rural Pittsylvania County and is a carpenter by trade. Arrested last July in conjunction with a traffic stop for having a bad headlight, authorities found the shotgun, which led to trouble. And I quote, Mr. Tickle had a sawed-off 12-gauge shotgun in the front seat of the truck. Well, of course he did. He's a moonshiner, said Corporal T.W. Eanes of the Pittsylvania County Sheriff's Office. At the time, the barrel length was approximately 14 inches long.
4 inches shorter than legal length.
The shotgun was in plain view, yes. So compared to, by the way, to clarify things for our listeners, if you think, okay, well, I thought a short barrel rifle was 16-inch barrel, shorter than a 16-inch barrel. Short barrel shotgun is shorter than 18 inches. As Nathan Murr just alluded to. He was prosecuted for a felony charge under the Virginia laws on SBS shotguns.
Because of that much. He's a felon because of that much metal.
4
right
inches, such a bummer.
I would almost bet that the reason this gun was sawed off is because they had a bulge in the barrel, and they chopped off the bad portion and just left it.
Could have been.
Because I've seen that done by Amish dudes, and
Or he likes.
it fell in the mud, and,
Yeah,
and
this
I
guy
shot
is-
it to shoot it out, and it bulged the barrel. What can I do? Can I
This
fix
guy
it?
is not Amish. Like, if you have a scale of people who are Amish, yes, he makes things in the woods.
No.
He doesn't make
I'm not
things
saying he's
out of
Amish.
wood.
I'm saying he's got some characteristics about him of not giving a care
Can
about what.
Thank you
Can you-
for that.
Whoa,
time,
whoa, whoa,
Pat.
well done.
Okay.
Can you do the Dutch Amish guy's voice?
Let's look at, all right, let's tread carefully there. My landlord's Amish, okay? So, look, this is what I'm saying, is I don't know about Mr. Tickle's other criminal history, okay? But at the end of the day, let's look at this. The guy's a moonshiner. I don't care. I don't care if he's a moonshiner. Because let's look at this. Like, why is moonshine illegal? Why is it illegal?
Harmless crime.
It predates the FDA. Okay, so you can't say, well, we don't want people making toxic brew and so on. It's everything about taxation, so the government can get their cut, make their money off of it, right? Which coincidentally is exactly the same thing as short barrel shotgun, because he could actually have had that exact same weapon 100% free and clear legal if he paid the government their $200 tax.
Well,
So-
or he could have trimmed the stock off, and he could have just created an AOW, and if he didn't want to pay the $200 tax stamp, he could have had a $5 tax stamp.
What I'm saying is, look, they burned the guy over 4 inches of metal. The guy's a felon because of that. Like, what difference did that make? Like, seriously, like maybe
That's no different than somebody crossing a bridge and becoming a felon.
Exactly. It's no different. It's like imaginary lines, a victimless crime. It's a law that never should have got put in effect in the first place, right? What I'm saying is they wanted to burn the guy over something, or the guy was sitting there, or maybe, for all I know, maybe the guy has a sordid criminal past. But if he's never had a felony before, and this is give him the benefit of the doubt and assume that he's a law-abiding citizen, and he's cut his shotgun barrel down too short, now he's a felon. I mean, like, the thing is, he was a bad guy because he was making alcohol in the woods because the government couldn't get their taxes. This is like, and that's the thing. The last thing, to me, I care more about the guy being a moonshiner than his stupid shotgun, because there's a time in America where we sent federal troops to fight American citizens over the exact same thing. It was called the Whiskey Rebellion, and it happened in the state of Pennsylvania because they taxed wheat, and they taxed barley, they taxed a bunch of stuff, and the farmers said it's no longer worth our effort to sell it. It's better for us to make it into whiskey and make it into alcohol so that we can make our profit there, because the government's making it where we can't make a profit and they're affecting our daily life. So you know what they did? They sent federal troops to shut those people down. That's early American history. That's post-American Revolution. Like, it was still in the 1700s, I believe, that happened. But, like, whatever. It's just stupid.
Okay.
I would also like to point out that in regards to him being on that show, I don't know if they're still filming. I don't pay attention to it, but I know there's like producers that are gonna have like, oh, what if you had a gun this time, or what if so and so had a gun? If he's a felon and they have guns around him, that's a big deal for that show.
Well, if he's a felon, he's gonna go to prison. I mean, like, he's not gonna be on TV anytime soon. I'll tell you that, if he gets convicted.
All right, John, what do you have?
I am looking at this article. Says this guy made a 95% 3D printed semi-auto pistol. Essentially, this dude who is a 47-year-old carpenter made this contraption. It looks kind of like an AR, looks kind of like a Tech 9, and he made a 3D printed, mostly 3D printed firearm from, you know, plastic and the internet and all that sort of stuff, and I think that's incredible. We've talked about this type of thing many times. What was there was like some 3D printed thing where they were gonna like go print it in front of a government office at one point. You remember that? They were like trying to sell the actual printers. Nobody remembers. Anyway,
I recall it. I remember what you're talking about, John.
I just think this sort of thing is really interesting, and I love seeing it progress in technology and capability, because if you guys remember back, I mean, it was, what, 2 years ago we saw that kind of blue single-shot contraption that everybody was making a big stink about, and now this thing kind of looks like a gun. You know what I mean? Like, before it was just like, I don't know, that's kind of a pistol, if you can call it that. Now we're getting there, and this kind of puts a big wrench in the concept of, oh, you know, guns have to be regulated, you know, 80% lowers, this, that, and the other. If you can just literally print one out with a tube of metal for your barrel and a couple other metal parts, this has some serious implications over the next years, and I just love watching it progress.
Just like the FAA is going to ban drones, I can see it getting to the point someday where the government takes actions to limit 3D printers. It's going to get to the point, probably within our lifetime, where you can go up to a machine and just put an object in it, it'll do a scan and make a dead-on replica of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can kind of already do that with 3D modeling and all that sort of stuff. It's not a super lengthy process to make a copy. You know, at least on the super high-end stuff.
There's going to be more federal involvement with this. Like, my thing is, I don't believe in limiting human intellect. I don't believe in limiting us in any way in that sense, unless it's something that's directly 100% negative the mankind, right?
Well, look at the Dark Ages. You know, look at that sort of repression.
That repression caused the Dark Ages.
That's what I'm saying. Like this, I'm not saying this is going to be another Dark Age, but you know, the government intervention, the powers that be, kind of stifling people and thoughts. I mean,
100 years ago,
dangerous.
100 years ago, the Industrial Revolution kicked off, and it's been 100 years of progress. I mean, mankind's advancing in technology, medical information, space travel, all kinds of wonderful, amazing, incredible things. and it's picking up steam. Like 20 years ago, one terabyte computer would have taken up like the size of Manhattan, and now you can have it in something you put in your back pocket. A cell phone 20 years ago was something that was the size of a briefcase, and now you have a computer in your pocket that you use to look at funny cat pictures every day. You have access to all the information mankind has collected over the last couple thousand years in your hand in the form of a phone. It's incredible. But like, to me, this is like the 3D printing stuff. I have a 3D printer at work. I can print whenever I want that way. I see the technology. I'm jealous of other 3D printers. They have 3D printers. They're 3D printing metal suppressors right now. Suppressors out of metal. Like, they're not manufacturing them. I mean, they are. They're just using a 3D printer instead of a CNC. It's going to get to the point where, just like the government doesn't like drones, and you're going to see the FAA get involved with that. I guarantee it. Within the next 5 years, you're going to see the FAA start regulating drones. It's going to be the same thing with 3D printers, because they don't want the people to have technology. Because it's just, if you limit technology, it's like limiting knowledge. Knowledge is power. Technology is the same thing.
All right, Natalie, what do you have?
Yeah, I chose Boom Headshot.
Uh-oh.
Texas hostage taker smoked in Irving because this occurred in the great state, my home state, and also because it's just badass. Now, I will say, if you watch the video, and I mean, it's graphic, y'all. Like, just I'm sure this audience can take it, but there's a dead body there. But the guy, at least if I'm looking at the angle properly, I mean, he is shooting into traffic, which is a little, disconcerting. But he takes the bad guy down with a headshot. And the point that the article makes is that, everybody's concerned about the militarization of the police and police having ARs, rifles, in addition to their semi-auto, their handguns. And I like the last paragraph. It's because of situations like this that patrol rifles, especially typically AR-15s, have earned their keep in increasing number of law enforcement agencies nationwide. The police aren't militarizing, as some unschooled nitwits like to claim. They simply apply the right tool for the job, which in many instances requires precision aim shot from a moderate distance with little chance of over-penetration. So, interesting take. I know other people who feel very differently. My good friend Billy Johnson is one of them. But anyway, I thought it was pretty badass and good shooting. And
it was an incredible shooting. I personally feel that if a law enforcement officer can't make a headshot on a stationary target that's threatening a hostage's life, if they can't make that shot with a long gun at 15 yards, they shouldn't be wearing the badge. That's a standard that every cop should hold themselves to, because they're the ones out there with the firearms, with a gun on their belt every day, serving serving the people. So that's a shot that every cop should be able to make. And if you're a cop and you're listening and you can't make a 15-yard headshot or 20 or 25-yard headshot with a long gun, you need to be able to. That's what America's progressed to. We have terrorism, we have active shooters, we have all these different things. The guy made a good call. If the guy had a hostage, I don't want to refer to the deceased gentleman as the guy anymore. I would like to refer to him as Canoe Face from now on for the rest of the conversation. But the other aspect of this is the fact that the guy used a 5.56. Virtually every law enforcement officer out there uses a bonded cartridge, a hollow point, or a soft tip. I'm going to tell you right now, I encourage you to go put two pieces of drywall 10 inches apart from each other and shoot it with various 5.56 rounds. You'll be appalled how little penetration 5.56 accomplishes. So as far as I know what you're saying with the traffic in the background, the guy was sure enough, he was confident, he was accurate enough, he successfully shot one round and dropped the hostage taker. So like people criticize, oh, he could have missed. I'm going to tell you right now, if there's even a remote chance the guy was going to miss, he wouldn't have touched the trigger. Because he's a civil servant, and he could have been, if he kills an innocent person, he's going to get sent to prison just like the bad guy would be. So, I'm not going to Monday morning quarterback what the guy did. I think he made a good call, and he definitely executed it successfully. We need more men like that guy.
Boom. He walked away that's a good day. Killing the bad guy.
Somebody bought him a beer or two that night, I promise you.
I would like to buy him a beer. That was amazing, and that's what service is all about.
John, what's that thing they say about if you play stupid games?
You win stupid prizes.
Yeah, Canoe Face
Or
won stupid
you get
prize.
shot in the effing face.
All right, Nate. Nate, what do you got?
All right, well, you guys stole some good ones here. I really wanted to talk about President Obama banning that snowball machine gun,
What about the bull semen video?
but no.
Yeah,
Guys-
what is up with the ridiculousness
Guys-
of some of these?
This one, the
What?
article I like to talk about is actually near and dear to me on a personal level because it involves the death of a family member. An elderly man in the UK died during sex, and
This is what we're talking about. Why is
Here's-
this on the list?
This is not funny, Natalie. This is a personal family tragedy.
All right, yeah,
An
sorry.
elderly man died in England, and he was wheeled away on the gurney with the hooker still attached. Okay.
What is it? What is attached?
What does it even mean? Like,
Is he a
with the-
dog?
I'm thinking handcuffs. That's just
No,
where my mind
there's a
went.
medical term for it.
Yes, there is a medical term for it. It's called penis captivus. Okay, it's a phenomenon. It's very well known. It basically what happens that sometimes, particularly during climax, a woman
Okay.
will clamp down on the male member. And,
Okay, really? Like,
listen,
and
my Uncle
we're worried
Bruce
about
was a saint.
timestamps?
My Uncle Bruce was a saint, Natalie. This is not a laughing matter.
I'm so glad we're concerned about timestamps now, because clearly the content is headed in the right direction.
So yeah, anyway, a British dude died while banging a hooker, and they couldn't separate them without medical assistance. So,
that's why people don't have barbed wieners.
hey, speaking of Barb's Wieners, here's Atlas.
Oh,
Hey,
God.
buddy. Hey, buddy.
This is your thing. These are your people putting these stories in here.
Yeah, what's up with that, yo? Like, that is
I don't know.
not.
I apologize.
Pass it up. Ugh, gross.
I mean, a lot of these
Classy
you can just
San
read the
Diego.
headline and it's just amazing.
Yeah, Santa Claus arrested in Idaho, and his real name is Santa Claus. And he kind of looks like Santa Claus.
I mean,
No.
it had to be legally changed.
Nobody going to cover the guy shooting at himself underwater with the SIG 556 or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah, I saw that. I saw that this week.
Okay, Ab, you cover it.
No, it's dumb. Like, first of all,
I commented he should move closer.
he's taking a real risk for science, right? Okay, how far he's standing? He's standing like 10 feet away from this gun underwater, and he's got it attached to a string. But there's no magazine in it, so there's only one round chambered. And he gives it a yank, and the bullet travels about 3 feet out of the gun and then stops. That's because everything is all taking place underwater. It's already under pressure. There's resistance immediately. The bullet, like for instance, if you had a gun outside of the water and we're shooting into the water, then the bullet's going to travel further. It loses energy fast, but it's going to travel further because it's already been fired. It's already at its peak velocity when it enters the water. So it's just kind of like this ridiculous thing that had a big deal made out of it, or people thought it was cool, but he wasn't standing close enough. Like, if you want to really take a risk and be like, I'm going to shoot a gun at myself underwater, it's going to be amazing.
What
Stand
he should
3 feet from the muzzle.
He should have swam up and put his finger in the muzzle and then did it, because if he would have done that, the gun wouldn't have been fired. He would have been perfectly safe. He would have been
Okay.
You know that guy did like 30, like he did 30
Yeah.
dry runs,
Yeah.
and then noted where the bullets like lost
Measured
velocity.
it out. Oh, yeah.
And then he's like, dude, I'm going to do the most badass video to impress my girlfriend. Come on, guys. That's
No,
what he did.
the
That's
whole
like, all of his bros were like, that is the coolest thing ever.
I would just like to point out that traditional projectiles are not designed for flowing through water. They actually do make some projectiles that are designed to travel through water in a particular way because it does not react the same way as air. You need, in order for around it, and if you watch, it actually, that initial muzzle blast will create a sort of chamber of gases for the bullet to fly through. So when it initially exits the muzzle, it almost looks like it's coming out with some steam on it because it's not flying through water, it's flying through like a gaseous area. And then once it actually starts having the water surround the nose of that bullet, it's just dumping energy all at once. And the term for what happens is some form of cavitation. And you need basically, you need a bubble of air around the bullet in order for it to fly freely. and that obviously does not happen in this case.
Well, it's
Alright.
like there's multiple countries that made guns that shoot underwater,
Right. The Russians have a few of them.
like this one right here, right? So the underwater defense gun Mark I Mod 0 that was issued to the early underwater demolition teams and Navy SEALs for years. And I know definitively that the Russians also created the same guns, and our friends in Germany, HK, they made an underwater gun as well. They made guns specifically designed to shoot underwater.
Right. It's a different type of engineering.
Now, is it water or water?
Well, we're in Pennsylvania, so it's
I'm
both.
Just,
It's
okay,
water.
just checking.
Armed robber gets taken down by military vet. This robber robbed this gas station in Florida.
Nate, I didn't know you were in Florida.
And so this robber he's got a pistol drawn on him, and he gets up, behind the counter, close to the clerk. And when he got close enough to the clerk decided, he's going to take action. He's not going down like this. So he grabs the robber, disarms him, starts pummeling him. Turns out later that it was an airsoft gun. He didn't know that at the time, but he said the quote here from the clerk says, I lost it. Says the clerk,
Wait for it.
The clerk commented, it was just like Call of Duty.
no, you know what? It must have been another article. I must have pasted the wrong one in here, but it was the same story. But the clerk was like, yeah, by the time I was done punching the guy, his face felt like mush.
Yikes.
But I had that will to fight. He was like, this guy's not taking me down no matter what. So, all right. Any of these other full auto stories you guys want to cover before we wrap things up?
I think the Darth Vader delivers a 3D printed arm to the young boy is a positive thing, so maybe we could end on that if you want.
Sure, yeah.
There
Grab
we
it.
go. That's well done.
There's a young man named Alvin Flores who was born without an arm, and as you can imagine, growing up with one arm is a very difficult thing. So Darth Vader and a couple stormtroopers and some support staff showed up and presented that young gentleman with a 3D printed arm. And there's a really cool video of this going down, and I like that because you know what? I can almost guarantee that arm was made on a 3D printer.
Highly likely.
Saving lives.
But
and
they
making
have
guns.
they have an all black CP3PO, which is really bizarre.
I'm
I
sorry.
like
What?
CP3PO.
C-3PO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when they left the factory, that's originally how they left the factory, and then guys started blinging them out in gold. So
That's right.
It's the John Patton edition.
That's right. Well, Patriot Patch Company helps make this episode possible. You can check out the Come and Take It Junior T-shirts. And we have new pre-orders live. And if you're watching live, we have the Wolverines patch. Or if you're a fan of the movie Red Dawn, you'll want to check that one out. PatriotPatch.co. All right. So what have you guys been up to, Nate?
I was up in Connecticut this morning, so I'm back home today.
So how long of a drive is that for you?
It's too long. Through the forbidden zone of the East Coast, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
So you know how hard it is to work in the firearms industry, and the fact that I need to go to Connecticut on a somewhat regular basis to do gun stuff, it's crazy. Anyway, I'm not talking about my travel. I'm just saying that it's been hectic. It's been pretty crazy. I've been on the move like nonstop since the last time I was on the show a couple weeks ago. Had an incredible SHOT Show. This is actually the best SHOT Show I've ever had. So I got to see John Patton and Ebbs and a bunch of wonderful people there. Natalie, did you go to SHOT?
I did. How did
It's weird. It's weird that you didn't come visit me in my booth. Noted. Anyway,
funny thing that you didn't come visit me in my booth. So
you have a booth?
yeah, Double Dog
Oh.
Arms, Girls Guide to Guns. Anyway, sad
So
that I
we-
missed you, but I will see you soon.
Well, we make stuff. So anyway, all that stuff that we make sold really well, and it was wonderful response. A lot of people came out to check out our new products. Connect Development Group's only a year old, and the fact that we have as many products out as we do, and the type of products that we have that are garnering all this interest, it made me feel good. It made me feel like I made a really good choice with getting on board, and really just the overwhelmingly positive response towards Connect Development Group's stuff. A lot of stuff that I had a hand in design-wise. As good as 2015 was, I can't wait for the rest of this year. We have so many things going on right now that I cannot wait to talk about. So I'm excited. I'm in a really positive mood right now. I'm stoked.
Very cool. Good to hear. Natalie, what's up?
Oh, SHOT Show was good. Slower than usual, which is probably the reason that I did not have a chance to come see you, Nate. But because of course I had my little guy there. But I did get a chance to see some of the boys, and that was awesome. And yeah, I had a lot of fun just at the family reunion that SHOT Show is. And yeah, there were some cool innovations. Whatever, you guys, I'm sure, have talked about it. I missed it last week, but in 3 weeks, I will be in Indianapolis, and any ladies out there who happen to be listening, or gents who have ladies in that area, I'm going to be hosting the Firearms fashion show for concealed carry through the Indianapolis chapter of Well Armed Woman, and I'm so excited to be there and to get to see.
I've seen this before. Like, this is actually a really, really big deal. Usually, like 511 sponsors it, right?
Well, I mean,
No, I'm not being sarcastic at all.
Why are guys not invited to this?
Guys can go.
You just said if you're a lady in the area, or if you're a fella. I'm not in the area. I'm just saying it sounds like there's going to be a lot of women there.
There will be. It is for women.
Yeah, it's centric to women, but I've always wanted to go. This is actually a really cool thing that they have every year. I don't want to steal Natalie's thunders, but like as men, like what do? You carry a gun in your pocket or in your belt, or like however you do it. Like, there's only so many ways to carry a gun because you wear jeans and a t-shirt every day, right?
Right.
For women, it's a lot more difficult because, one, women's anatomy is different, so how the gun carries on their person is different. Women, they are slaves to fashion. They don't wear jeans and a t-shirt every day. Some days they have to wear a dress, so that presents its own issues for carrying a weapon concealed. I think it's a great thing that it's only a couple years old now, right?
Yeah, right. This is the second year. I am standing on the shoulders of giants. One of whom is Gabby Franco. She hosted last year, so I'm honored to be able to follow up on her debut of the whole thing. So it's going to be great. I'm really excited about it. They've done an exceptional job with the lineup, and there will be a couple of people who are doing presentations as well. And then yeah, I'll be emceeing the runway part of it. So it's going to be great. So that's my main focus, and then
that's really cool. No, that's good.
Cool.
It's a good thing. Like, and this is part of like the progression as a shooting community that I like to see, because I understand, like, women, it's a different animal for them to figure out what's best for them and what gun they can carry and what gun they can conceal. And actually, you invite listeners to come check it out. If you have an idea as a man or a woman, like a better way to make a holster, a better way to carry, or something that you think is something that you need, here's an opportunity to go talk to the professionals, people that can actually put that into action.
That's right. And I think the website is Firearm Fashion Show Indy. I'm double checking that right now. But if you are interested in coming on out, we'd love to hear from you. I know there's a Facebook page, an event page as well for it. So, come on out and see us, and it'll be great. And then additionally, I'm just finishing up some things for my little children's book that I have written on gun safety. So we're going to be
nice.
Posting a lot more about that very soon.
That's really
very cool.
Thanks.
John, what's up? You're muted.
He broke the internet today.
He broke the internet today.
He's still muted.
Let me look. Let me see. Where are we now for his?
I don't understand. I didn't even know this.
90,000 views in less than 3 hours.
I made a thing, and it's apparently creating some waves, and some people are a little maybe not so happy about it.
All the hate in the internet right now is getting vectored in on you.
That's okay. That's okay, because as long as they're talking about the Gun Collective in an ultra positive light, I'll be okay. No, the things are great. SHOT Show was amazing. Lots of support from the industry. Ebbs was a huge help. He just helped me crush it, and we put out a lot of really cool videos, met some amazing people, and the opportunities that are coming my way right now are things that I previously, years past, would have never thought possible. Like companies just throwing stuff at me right now to just work with them, and it's absolutely incredible. So I'm super pumped about that. I've got some incredible friends that have helped me along the way and continue to support what I do, like everybody sitting here. So, to just be able to see some bit of success is incredible. So, yeah.
I think, like, what you said this about, you've been saying this for years, but you said it last year a lot, not like early 2015, 2014. You're saying that, like, a big change is coming to the gun industry for the better. And it's the younger people, the younger companies, the newer mom and pop shops, things like what Natalie's talking about with like the Firearms Fashion Show. That's all progress. It's all change. And your success, I'm watching it. I'm proud of you, bro. It's like, seriously, you're knocking it out of the park.
Yay.
Like you're part of that. You called it, bro. You called it 100%, but you're also participating in it. And like you and Ebbs, I saw how you guys hustled all of SHOT Show. Like you guys did not have an easy shot, but that's contributing to the greater good and that change that you so wish for. So
yeah, it's pretty incredible. And what's really interesting, for me personally, was when I was saying those things, I still had the mentality that like, somebody has to change this. So it's got to change, and I wasn't necessarily thinking, I might be a part of that change like I feel like I might be now. Because what I'm doing with TGC and TGC News has quite literally never been done before in the firearms industry. So to kind of be towards the front end of that change and have some sort of influence on the direction that things are going in some way, shape, or form. I'm not saying like, I'm the reason things are changing. I'm certainly not. But to be a part of it is just. I walked out of SHOT Show on cloud 9. I walked out. I mean, every single day when I go to bed at night, I'm like, this is awesome. I am loving my life right now.
Yeah, a big part of it is like I feel like a lot of us, we're pushing our own rock forward every day. We're all pushing it in the same direction. And really, in the last year, I see more and more people getting together and pushing the same rock in the same direction together. And it warms my heart. It makes me feel like all the things that we spoke about this evening on this podcast about progress and people defending the Second Amendment, wanting change for legislation and gun ownership and gun products, all these things. We're finally starting to align and get organized. What we said earlier about like everything with the negative comments on Facebook and all the negative stuff. Look at it like this: like the Bloombergs, they have more money, but they're not as well organized as we are, and that's what I like to see: is that community and people coming together to not force change, but allow change for the positive. And you're part of that.
Be that change.
Be that change. And the Gun Collective is definitely one of those things. And as much as I was kind of ragging on you about that video today, and like John's not going to plug it because I will shamelessly plug. I encourage you to go to Facebook and look at the Gun Collective, and you'll see the video. And when you see it, you will know. Like, we have to have a sense of humor. We have to be able to understand that, hey, you know what? We're not all alpha males and alpha females. We're not all meat-eating Navy SEAL badass type guys. That everybody makes mistakes, and it's okay to laugh at those mistakes.
Yeah. Yep. I'm so glad you said that. That's true. I love this broing out that's happening right now.
I
This
know
is
we're gonna have
very,
like a kumbaya moment or
I
something.
know. It's like you're very much team leader right now, Mer. I'm loving it.
All
We
right,
need more of that. All of us need that more of
oh,
that.
we just lost Ebbs. I was gonna say bye to Ebbs, and he disappeared.
Aww.
Womp womp.
All
Give him a
right.
second. Give him a second.
I'll read my intro and see if he comes, or outro and see if he comes back in. You can leave your feedback by commenting on the bottom of this YouTube video, bottom of the show notes. Thank you for all the comments during the live show. And leave us a iTunes review if you listen that way. Contribute to the show by shopping our Amazon affiliate link. Go to thisweekinguns.com and look for the Amazon banner.
And seriously, leaving comments is super important to us. That lets us know, if you guys are enjoying the show, if you think it sucks for whatever reason, you want to punch one of us in the face.
Vote me off the island. I mean, it's great.
Yeah. You guys have that vote. The torches will be put out. No, but seriously, when you guys at home are listening and you take the time to comment either on the YouTube video, on iTunes, whatever it is, send Jake hate mail for all the timestamps. We seriously appreciate that sort of feedback.
And if you guys enjoy the show, share it. Let your friends know. You got plenty of friends that love the Second Amendment. They love guns. They love shooting. They love everything that goes bang. Let them know what we're doing here, too. I know that Jake's been growing in viewership and listenership, if that's a word. I don't know. I never went to college.
That is.
Listenership. But, to be able to give you guys this content, we need more. We need more from you, and that's sharing and commenting and being involved in your community, because this is for you. It's not for us.
Absolutely. I appreciate the plugs, guys. That was good. All right, that wraps us up. Ab's internet just crapped the bed, quote unquote. So Abs, you can check him out at House of Guns, House of Arms. He's same name on Facebook and social media as well. Check out all the awesome stuff that Ebbs is doing over there.
He was going crazy with videos as well, right, Chaos?
Well, he was actually co-hosting with me, so if you look at the Gun Collective SHOT Show coverage, Ebbs is in at least half of the videos.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you, Nate.
Thanks for having me on, Jake. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Natalie.
Thanks, man. Thanks, boys. Good to see ya.
And thank you, John.
No. Thank you.
And that's a wrap. We'll see you next week.